In this video, I'm going to share with you how I transition from one song to another. If you've ever found yourself at a loss of words, or you're wondering what to say next, or how to just go from one song to another song, sometimes there's a moment there that you can add a part of yourself and tell like a story and connect with your audience a lot better. So I want to share with you these next couple of clips and show you how I do this and how I build rapport with my audience. Enjoy. The music is about feeling really good, and I'm very lucky that I got to grow up in a family that loved to share music and make everybody feel good. I was supposed to play the piano. My mother told me, "You're gonna play the piano," and I said, "I'm not gonna play the piano." And she said, "No, you're gonna play the piano," and I said, "I'm not gonna play the piano." Guess who won? Mom won. I had to play the piano. I had to play classical music. Music that she loved, but music that I didn't necessarily love. But everywhere I looked in my family, there was a piano being played and there was a guitar being played. Sometimes it was a ukulele, but always with the same feeling. Love was always there. So I want to share with you this song that I always remember my grandpa playing on his guitar, and it's full of love, and I hope that it makes you feel good. Because that's what the songs we sing, that's what they should do, is make us feel good. So from my heart to yours, wise men say. This next song tells a little bit of a story. And so I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I went to Catholic school when I was in Pennsylvania. And I went to a Catholic school for my elementary education called St. Boniface. And that made a big impression on me, as Catholic school tends to. I remember Sister Mary Claire was with us grades 1 through 6. And whenever we went to church, which was every day, she made sure everybody was singing, because you don't argue with the nuns. Sometimes we even sang songs that I wanted to sing. Other times we sang songs that I didn't want to sing. But the songs and the melodies and the hymns that we sang slowly became a part of who I was. And now I can say I got music in my bones. If we weren't singing in church, we were singing at my parents' house in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which is the home of Little League Baseball. And if we weren't singing at my parents' house in Williamsport, we were singing at my grandparents' house. And my grandpa would sing, and once in a while, he'd even sing in tune. I remember sitting on his front porch with a big glass of lemonade that my grandmother had made. And I would look for hummingbirds out in her garden. And Grandpa would sit on the front steps of that porch with a guitar on his knee and a cigarette in his mouth and a cup of hot coffee sitting right next to him. He'd always drink hot coffee, it didn't matter how hot it was. And I would sit and I would listen to him play some songs, and this is one that I remember that he always loved to share. I'll see you in my dreams. When I was 11 years old, my dad got a brand new job, 300 miles away from our home in Pennsylvania, in a brand new place I'd never heard of before called New Hampshire. He said to my 2 younger brothers and my mom and me, "I can't wait for you to see how beautiful it is in Keene, New Hampshire. I can't wait for you boys to hike Mount Monadnock." He said to my mom, "I can't wait for you to see how beautiful it is in New England, especially in the fall." My dad was about to bring us 300 miles away from everything that we had ever known. 300 miles away from everything that he had ever known. 300 miles away from my grandparents. Before we left on that trip, my grandfather sat me down and he said, "Christopher," he says, "I'm sure gonna miss you. But I have something for you I want you to bring with you when you go to New Hampshire." And he went into his bedroom and he came out with a guitar. same guitar that I remember he'd been playing my whole life. The same guitar that he'd been playing since 1944. And he handed me his guitar. And he said, Chris, he said, I want you to take my guitar with you to New Hampshire. And when you miss home, he says, I want you to play it. And it'll make you feel better. We weren't in Keene, New Hampshire very long. And with tears rolling down my eyes, I started to miss home. I started to miss Pennsylvania. But I remember what my grandpa said to me. And I went into my bedroom, I picked up his old guitar, and I started to play some of the songs that I remember he played for us when we were growing up. The more I played his guitar, the better that I felt. And I realized that home wasn't 300 miles away anymore. Home was right here on my lap. Yes, I'll see you in my dreams. Thank you. The songs that we sing say a lot about us. And I used to think that it was about trying to play as fast as I could. But my grandfather was always telling me to slow down and to sit still and to listen. I said, that's a tall order, and I wasn't a very tall kid. Grandpa seemed to make music happen so effortlessly. And I wanted to always be like him. Not because he was a great guitar player, which he was. And it's not because he was a good singer, which he was not. It's because every time he played the guitar, something magical seemed to happen. Hope you enjoyed seeing how I transitioned between those songs. You can probably tell that I'm kind of silly when I perform, and I tell some jokes that aren't particularly funny, sometimes a little bit goofy. I don't take myself very seriously, and I think that your audience is going to appreciate that, because the reality of playing for our senior community is that they've heard all of these songs before, but you need to make this cover song your own song. Put your own unique twist on it, put your own unique context on it, because you are affected by this music very differently. And I find that if you communicate just a little bit about yourself between every song, you can make that connection a lot easier with your senior audience and make them laugh, make them smile, and just create a really awesome experience for them while they're at your show. So I hope that you got a little bit of value listening to the stories, and I hope that your next senior community show is awesome, and keep sharing your love with the world and making everybody happy. Have an awesome day.